This video contains spoilers for Murder on the Warp Express and Canto 7, the dream ending. Viewer discretion is advised. Imagine you were given a role. A role that in the grand scheme of things means nothing, but it dictates your entire life from now on. You get dressed into your new well-tailored clothes. You walk hand in hand with someone you never would walk beside otherwise, someone who was given a role just as you were. You smile and wave at the people looking up at you from the ground as you stand on the parade float. Confetti obscures your vision, flutters like butterflies over the meadow. The music is loud, all-encompassing, to a point you can hear it even after you go back to your room, ringing in your ears, barely suppressing the melody stuck in your head. It's supposed to be a celebration. It's supposed to be one. But how can you be celebrating when you are impossibly hungry? Sating your hunger is against the nature of your role, so you just keep starving. You go and confess your sin, and you get told the stock response. Same as before. And it doesn't sate you. Day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year, decade by decade, century by century, same routine, same song and dance on repeat, over and over again. You grow tired. Hateful. You know what you need is to get out. No, it's not a need. You have to get out. But even if you do, will you be free of your coffin, or will you just fall into another and close the lid? Murder on the Warp Express is my favorite Limbus intervallo. I don't think that surprises anybody. And Cassetti is my favorite intervallo antagonist. Again, surprising nobody. And I like him as much as I do because I think he is a really interesting character. His appearance is very brief, him being physically present for only 2 nodes of his designated chapter, and yet I would argue he is one of the most important Blood Fiends in the narrative, in that he serves as an introduction to the Blood Fiends of La Mancha Land, and the Blood Fiends in general for those who have not played Ruina, but I digress. This is going to be a sort of dissection of Cassetti with retrospective knowledge of Canto 7 on our hands, because I am a normal person who thinks about Blood Fiends a very normal amount. Let's begin, shall we? Now, I won't analyze Cassetti through the lens of the book he connects to, but I do think there is something in that connection that is worth mentioning. Cassetti shares a name with, well, Cassetti, also referred to as Samuel Ratchet, from the novel Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. Spoilers for Murder on the Orient Express, I guess. What is interesting to me about this is that despite being the one whodunit, in our case, Cassetti's name is that of the victim of the murder, not the culprit. And at the end of the novel, there are 2 proposed ideas for how Cassetti died. Either someone showed up in disguise and killed Cassetti due to a personal feud, or a family of 13 killed him collectively for killing their child. Both of these possibilities can directly be connected to Cassetti's fate in the intervallo. Isn't it ironic? The man named after a victim of a train-based murder mystery getting onto a train and believing it would be his salvation. Cassetti is a trapped man believing himself to be free, and so he dies one. As soon as the LCB enter the train car that Cassetti repurposed into his throne room, he makes it clear who the most important person there is, and that is himself.
What is with that look on thine faces? Thou standest in an audience with the prince. Where are thine smiles? Fall to thy knees and grovel before royalty!
To him, every other person on the train is in his subordination. He is the monarch, and they are all his loyal subjects, stepping stones to the creation of his prosperous kingdom. Interestingly enough, though, despite explicitly denouncing the Monchagon family and attributing himself the title of king a few times in his dialogue,
challenge me now, Lord. Challenge thy king. Once this march ends, I shall rise a king to reign over all.
Cassetti is very much unwilling to let the title of prince go, and it's pretty easy to guess why. The second example line that I used just now sounds when Cassetti uses the "I am the prince of the parade" attack. And at some point Cassetti refers to what he does on the train as the parade. The same as what the Eternal Carnival of La Mancha Land is referred to as. The same for which he was assigned the title of prince. No matter how much he resents his connection to La Mancha Land, he is still trapped within the role he was assigned. He clings to his title because he knows that without it he is nothing.
Thou mayest address me as Prince Cassetti, sixth kindred in the refuge of his family, and the rightful prince who shall reign over thee. Thou art the chatty one, so rudely before your prince. There is no prince without the manners. Yes, I am the prince. That is what I am.
This attitude of his, in my eyes, interestingly parallels Dulcinea's perception of a parade. She too has merged with her role as the princess, but her nihilism prevents her from trying to search for a way out of it, especially considering she and her kindred had tried to change things for the better once already, and it only made it all worse. Plus, she is the second kindred, while Cassetti is the sixth. She is tied down to this place by her responsibility for her kin, and Cassetti provably has no kindred of his own until the train. I will get to that. Even if she wanted to escape, her kindred would likely not let her, as they need her guidance. So, she sees no point in doing anything outside of a pre-written script. What's the point of trying to change the course of a play that exists in perpetuity? What's the point of fighting your own objectification and dehumanization? What's the point in fighting the rules ordained by someone who they by instinct cannot stand up to? In her eyes, there is none.
Though Cassetti, who played the Prince of the Parade, had left us to build his own kingdom, a lone princess should be enough to rouse our guests.
But that's only one of the Munchkins foreshadowed. What about the other four? Out of all the blood fiends we meet in the dream ending, Nicolina is the only one mentioned directly in Murder on the Warp Express. Not by name, sure, but by title.
This mask was crafted by none other than the great and eminent barber, whose name I dare not even speak.
Which tracks, as she is the first overseer blood fiend we meet in the Kanto, and the only overseer to be present in marketing material prior to the Kanto's release, getting a few voice lines in the teaser even. As for why she's mentioned, Cassetti gets asked about the mask he wears and tells the sinners that Nicolina was the one to sew it onto his face, symbolically trapping him in his role alongside the rest of the family and hiding their ugliness until the better days.
Was so ugly behind the mask. So we all decided to hide how repulsive we become. But once I've drunken your blood full, then we'll all go back to how it used to be. Only then I can unmask myself.
This sentiment parallels Nicolina's view of herself. In her lines, she emphasizes the importance of appearance and expresses a desire to look beautiful, to have attention drawn to her. Hiding her face that has been corrupted by the lack of blood in her system is her defense mechanism, something to combat her insecurity around her appearance. The usage of "we" in Cassetti's line particularly suggests to me that Nicolina was very vocal about this view of herself and it transferred down the bloodstream, so to speak, to her kin. This is also one of the reasons why I think Cassetti is specifically Nicolina's descendant, but that's already speculation at this point. Curiambro's influence on Cassetti is a lot more subtle, as it is mostly showing through Cassetti's reverence to the ideas instilled into him and the fear he shows when he strays from them.
It hurts so much. No! I'm smiling. Look how hard I'm smiling and laughing. Shut up! Be quiet! No. I'm sorry. I'll be good. Father. Forgive my transactions, for I'm about to create another without thy sanction.
As the priest of La Mancha Land, Curiambro had to reaffirm everyone's belief in the words of their father, and clearly his preaching got to Cassetti. Any kind of perceived misdeed immediately forces Cassetti to break character and plead for forgiveness, as if from a deity, and to someone like him, Don Quixote might as well be one. The instinct of filial impiety makes it so the first kindred's word is basically law. So how could he, a mere sixth, even try to go against his word? That'd be unimaginable. What is imaginable, however, is him trying to emulate him. To a player who has not seen Canto 7 yet, Cassetti's speech patterns seem to be mirroring the way our, LCB's Don Quixote, speaks. Art thou the villain who has wrought such destruction and massacre upon this vessel?
You have no idea how powerful I am, and I shall not relinquish the throne of this bidding kingdom to thee.
But in retrospect, he is instead mirroring the way La Mancha Land's Don Quixote spoke when he was playing the role of a noble fixer.
No syndicate shall ever dare invade thy village again after my demonstration of might. Haven't I declared it upon mine arrival that no task is beyond us?
Cassetti titling himself king in a few of his lines is also a sort of parallel to Don Quixote, as he gets referred to as a king in Sanson's retelling of La Mancha Land's backstory.
Long, long ago, a lonesome king resided within the towering walls of this great castle.
But the most notable parallel comes in form of his kindred, Sasha.
Wouldst thou behold this flyer? Prithee, spread the word. Invite thy fellows and families to this place. My most loyal squire, Sancho, shall present thee a better explanation.
Allow me to introduce my kindred to thee. First of mine since the escape, for the kingdom I intend to build. My kindred, my royal squire, who shall be at my side as I build a destiny of my own. My family.
Sasha is the first kindred Cassetti has ever made. We know that for sure, not just from the mentioned above line, but also the line he says when he laments the bus waking him up from his slumber.
If only this bus hadn't completely filled up the freight car. I wasn't planning on commencing a parade so soon, or creating a kindred at all.
Before the Bokgak, the line ended with creating a kindred here instead of at all. This feels like a pretty deliberate change, indicating that Cassetti might not have wanted to have kindred in general, and Sasha's turning was done impulsively, rather than that he just didn't want to create one on the train specifically. And since he only asks for forgiveness over not sanctioning the turning he was about to do to the LCB Don Quixote, and not for trying to go over the two-person limit, he turned no more people. Sancho is the first person to ever be turned by Don Quixote of La Mancha Land, the older of his two kindred, just as Sasha is the first kindred of Cassetti's. And he refers to her as his squire, which is something that Don Quixote called Sancho as well during his fixer exploits. Sancho and Sasha even sound similar as names, but the most important parallel is the relationship between the two. Now you might be confused. The relationship between Don Quixote and Sancho is a lot more loving than the one between Sasha and Cassetti, is it not? Don Quixote does not berate Sancho and look down at her when she fails. What's up with that? Well, the answer is simple. It's not a reflection, it's a foil. Cassetti and Sasha replicate the general circumstance of their relationship, but not its substance. And I just might know where that kind of replication came from.
It made me curious. What's the meaning of burying someone who lives still? You and I would never know the answer to that question, would we? Did you bury the body of Cassetti yourself as well? That fugitive.
Unhand me! We know that many were felled for their sin of indulgence in blood. Many blood fiends buried beneath La Mancha Land for daring to go against the father's wishes. But he did not kill them himself.
Sancho?
Yes, father. His eldest daughter did. We know this from both the priest dialogue that was featured earlier, saying, "Did you bury the body of Cassetti yourself as well?" very much implying that she was the one to kill, and the manager Don Quixote Aptai story, where she thoroughly describes the experience of having to kill her fellow kindred, dissociating as she felt her limbs were no longer her own. I know I am going into the realm of speculation here, but if even those who interacted with Sancho directly had an incorrect impression of her, as someone who is aloof and unwilling to acknowledge their plight...
That look of arrogant disinterest, as though nothing before you was worth your concern, as though you were not part of the world, but only a detached observer.
Always stuck to him like glue, glaring at us with that haughty, condescending look whenever we approached.
She won't ever understand us.
I'd imagine among blood fiends lower down the bloodstream, Sancho's image would be tainted even more. After all, their main exposure to her would be her voice over the intercoms and her hands covered in blood of their peers. And so, in the eyes of a lower kindred, the relationship between Don Quixote and Sancho would seem to be more so a relationship between a knight and his sword, rather than a father and a daughter. That view is what Cassetti's relationship with Sasha reflects. He is not only expecting her to be compliant to his desires, chastising her for failure to bring him any benefit. He expects her to be a tool of fear.
My kindred, my child, I have given thee new life, invited thee to this banquet. So do something. Your responsibilities, the blessing of your father must be repaid now.
What can I do?
Find their weaknesses, break their anger, make them kneel and grovel before me in desperation, just as you had.
Just as he imagined Sancho had. And it's no surprise that when he meets Sancho face to face, he can do nothing but cower in fear.
Mercy, O patron ancestor, I beg for the mercy of the second kindred, I beg for the mercy of the second kindred, I beg for the...
Warm. In short, I believe Cassetti encapsulates the plight of La Mancha land. An inherent desire to break away from a cycle and the inability to do so due to just how ingrained into him the said cycle is. It is being enabled by the system blood fiends operate under, after all. And this stagnation, this inability to move on, parading in a circle, waiting for a new day to begin, it rots you on the inside, and you hope that it will end one day, but it never will. Not for him, at least. After all, time is slowed to a crawl in a warp train. Thank you for watching! I've been meaning to do something like this for a while. I hope you liked it, despite it being a bit all over the place. Also, big thank you to everyone who voiced characters for this video. I couldn't thank them enough. And this is it. Bye, watch something else.
Curses! Curses!
Nicolina is the only one mentioned directly in Murder on the Warp. Murder on the Warp.
Sancho, what is this bullshit?
That view is what Cassetti's relationship with Sasha. Sasha? Fuck.
Curses! Curses!